So now I'm working on painting all the interior pieces for the truck black. I don't want it to be red. So instead of buying a whole bunch of pieces, got a dash pad, a new one is $350. Then all the individual pieces, it's $30 a piece for that, another $20. It starts to add up. So to buy all the interior pieces, we're looking a little bit over 600. I think with the door panels, it's almost 800 bucks. Is it really worth spending that, or just clean up the pieces that I got and repaint them? So I chose to just repaint them. So you're looking at $80 in paint versus $800. But starting with the dash pad, I worked mostly on just the front, since that's all you're going to see. I had one of these dash mats that came in the truck when I got it, and it pretty much covers up where all the damage is, except for on the side. So I had two dash pads. That side's not too bad. I had two dash pads, and I ended up using the best one that I had, which there's no damage on the sides of it. You got that little crack right there. Some of these extend down, but all the areas that you would see are not damaged. So I ended up using that one, cleaning it up. You can see once that's actually on there, I ordered a new one from Summit Racing. It's a dash mat brand, just because I wanted it to be the same as this. I mean, for $33, pretty good. It just takes a month to come in, from what he said. So with all these ridges where everything's peeling up, I ended up just taking a screwdriver and keep breaking it away until everything was flat, all the way across, and then trim it off any excess that I don't really need, that's going to make the cover not sit flat on there. So that's how mine looks. It's just a matter of chipping it away. It doesn't matter how good it looks, you're not going to be able to see it. Then I'll end up taking Velcro and doing a Velcro strip all the way across, and have that connected to the mat so the mat won't go anywhere. So that does the dash. Then on the sun visors, I just picked the two best that I had and cleaned those up. On these little clips, you can just take a little screwdriver, pry out on one side and then pry out on the other side. It's kind of like a gator clip. It just has prongs on each end. So you can take these off so you can get a good paint job on it. On the passenger side, with the mirror, if you really want to get it off, this one I just cut the back of it off. There's actually two holes, and the mirror just kind of pops in there. It has little plastic tabs, so you can take your finger on one side and maybe push it out, or just keep wiggling the mirror until you get it out so you can paint underneath it, or mask it up, do the best that you can. But this is my driver's side. Oh, that's the passenger one. Yeah, I pushed too hard when I was putting it in. That's why I got that little dent, or two little dents. Don't push too hard. But this one didn't have a mirror, so I stole the mirror from the junk one and put the little chrome pieces back on. I polished them up and then stuck them back on there. Just squeeze them with a pair of pliers wrapped in a paper towel so I don't get them all mangled up. The same thing on all the other pieces. I had 4 of these. I ended up just taking the two best left and rights and using those. Whichever one didn't have a crack or the least amount of breakage to it. Then on these holes, I'm just going to get larger Phillips screws. that will fill in and still catch on what's left of it. Now I'll paint all the screws black. I did the armrests, so I don't have to buy armrests, anything like that. And here's the door panel compared to how it was. On this piece, instead of trying to take it out, because I know all the screws that hold it in, or the bolts that stick out on the back, are just going to break off. That is $80. I think it's $80 for each side, or $80 for the pair, so I didn't want to spend the money on that. So I left it where it was, and I just mashed off around it and sealed off the rest of the panel, and kept doing multiple coats on it. And I ended up, after I did one coat, I just took a brush like this and went over the fibers before the paint was completely dry. It was somewhat tacky. I just kept going over in different directions, pulling up on it. And then after I did that, I took rolls of masking tape and just kind of plucked at it to pull all the hairs back up and try to get them all separated. So I did that through the whole process. I think that was about a can of paint just to do that, maybe a can and a half. But if you take your time, it'll come out looking pretty decent. It's not going to feel like no butterfly kisses, that's for sure. I mean, it's a little gritty, but I'm not too worried about that. And for the big hole that they cut for the speaker, I looked up the mat pockets on LMC, and the mat pocket will end up being just big enough to cover up all those holes. So I got those ordered, and that covers up the speaker hole, so it'll look just like a regular door panel. And then I'll get the stainless trim, or supposedly stainless trim, and the pull strap and switches and stuff. So my cost into this will probably be, I think, $60 a door panel versus $160 for a pair of door panels, and $80 and $50 for the armrest. So it starts to add up. But if your door panels are anything like mine, they're all chalky on the top of it. Now you take your fingernail and rub on it. And I did the driver's side. You see some long scratches on there. Don't use a wire wheel on a drill. Oh, you got a little lazy, and that's why those long scratches are in there. So don't do that. My first method was using a wire brush like this, and I thought I could go faster with the wire wheel, but I guess not. So just using one of these steel brushes, and I've tried to fix as much of my mess up as I could, and just kind of crisscrossing the whole top of it till we get all the chalk off, even going over this curve. Just because so much sunlight has been on there, it still is chalky. So I did the whole top of it, a whole crisscross pattern, changing directions, not pushing extremely hard, but hard enough to actually get the powder off of it. And then just a buffing, I think it's a wool buffing wheel, and a drill at a moderate speed will heat up the plastic enough to remove what's left of the powder, and also kind of pull up the rest of the white chalkiness on it. It smooths it out, kind of cleans it up. And you see I didn't lose really a whole lot of grain. It still has texture to it, outside of my horrible scratch marks. But a lot of the texture is still there. And this was the worst panel. This is the passenger panel. It's not that bad. So I did a little test area so you could see. You can keep all the grain. Just a matter of going up and down, side to side, just working your way all the way across, and then polish it up. So I just got to do this can, or this door panel. There would be at least one can on there, and then there's one can, about almost a can to paint the whole door panel. So with the method of the masking tape and the brush on that, I use that on the headliner. So there's the headliner. It's all done, so I don't have to buy another headliner. The spots where it's ripped is hidden underneath the trim. So the headliner came out pretty good. Headliner itself took 3 cans. It got some bulge. It had bulge spots in it before. You can see how it's kind of blotchy. There just wasn't a whole lot of fibers there. It was kind of, I don't know. So it shouldn't look too bad once it's in the truck. It was better than buying another one. But it was at least 3 cans. Spraying these pieces of fabric, I stayed 12 inches away, and I did everything in a crisscross pattern, working one way, and then just keep switching back and forth in different directions. And every time I did a coat, I would use the brush the whole panel, and then use the masking tape to pluck at it and pull the hairs back up and try to get them to separate. And I use alcohol on everything that I painted. Paper towel, just rip it in half. I use the same method of cleaning and the same method of painting on every panel, so everything would stay consistent with each other. We're just pretty much wiping everything down with alcohol. The paint that I used is this gloss black, which is made by Duplicolor. And a lot of people don't like the gloss black because they say it's too shiny. So before I went and did all this, I did one of my old panels to see what it looks like, and then the new side pieces for the seat that I ordered in black, I put some shine on it. So the seat piece is from LMC, which is a new black piece, and it just has Meguiar's shine on there. I always clean my interiors, so that's what I use on all of it. And then that piece is painted with no shine on it. It's just the paint, how the paint is going to look. It'll look somewhat shiny. So when you compare the gloss, they're pretty much basically the same. I mean, I don't see a difference. So that shows what it looks like compared to a gloss paint and a satin or matte plastic with shine on it. I guess if you don't shine the interior, you don't use Armor All and Meguiar's on the inside of your interior, then there would be a color change. But to me, that looks pretty much exactly the same. So all my plastic will always look like it has shine on it. I don't have to shine it. But that's what they look like. Maybe on the flat spots they'll look a little different. But for the most part, they'll always look like they're shiny. So that gives you an idea whether you're doing a truck or you're doing something else. Whether you want to do gloss black, spend money on satin black or whatever kind of black. The gloss black kind of matches plastic that has been cleaned. But that's it.